I never imagined the first person who'd try to fix my daughter would be her own grandmother. I didn't expect the woman in sequins at my wedding to become someone I'd eventually need to shield my child from, legally, physically, emotionally. But here we are. The first time I truly met my husband's mother. Minutes after our wedding reception began, I still had rice clinging to my hair and lipstick smudged on my teeth. I was buzzing, drunk on champagne, and the dizzying newness of love. She didn't walk towards me. She floated, a spectral vision in an off-white, sequin gown that, if you squinted, could have easily passed for a bridal dress itself. She didn't offer congratulations. She didn't embrace me. Her gaze was locked on my hand, intertwined with Zach's, as she delivered her chilling pronouncement. "You'll never know him as well as I do." I laughed, a reflex certain it was a jest, but her eyes narrowed, piercing me as if I'd committed an unforgivable offense. I pasted on my best, brightest smile. "I'll get to know him in my own way," I replied, my voice feigning an optimism I didn't feel. She offered no response, simply turning to drift towards the buffet, a queen dismissing an insolent servant. Zach, witnessing the exchange and the sudden pallor on my face, immediately strode to my side. "Do you want me to have her escorted out?" he asked, his tone leaving no doubt he meant it. I shook my head. No drama. Not today. I was stubbornly, perhaps foolishly, hopeful we'd eventually find common ground. My own parents had welcomed me late in life, and they were gone now. I craved a grandmother for my future children, a maternal figure to fill the void. I didn't comprehend then how dangerously that wish would unfold. A year later, our daughter, Nyla, arrived. Zach worked tirelessly, and I immersed myself in the tender world of new motherhood. The intoxicating scent of baby, the velvet softness of her cheeks, the sleepy, milk-drunk smiles. We were a unit, utterly immersed, utterly content. But our happiness, our blissful ignorance, was precarious. At 11 months, our world fractured. Peanuts, a life-threatening allergy, an EpiPen diagnosis, strict, unyielding protocols, no risks, absolutely none, not even a minuscule taste. My mother-in-law, let's call her Linda, held little regard for medical realities. Her FaceTime calls were peppered with chirpy suggestions. Give the girl what she wants. If Nyla, as toddlers often do, innocently reached for peanut butter, I'd firmly say no. Linda would sigh dramatically. "You're raising her too fragile." And there, on the screen, I'd see my daughter's small face, watching me, undoubtedly wondering why Grandma believed I was the problem. When Nyla turned 4, we sat at the kitchen table, her tiny fingers clutching a pink crayon, painstakingly writing invitations. After her entire class list was complete, I asked if there was anyone else. She bounced in her chair, a burst of pure joy. Big Mommy, Big Mommy, Big Mommy. That was her name for Linda. I pinched the bridge of my nose, a familiar headache brewing. I had promised myself I'd try, for Nyla's sake, to foster a grandmotherly connection. Against every fiber of my being, I extended an invitation to Linda. Party day dawned. Linda arrived with a smile so sweet it curdled, her arms laden with homemade offerings, a cake, cupcakes, an array of snacks. For a fleeting moment, my chest softened. Perhaps she was genuinely trying. Then, nestled within the snack bag, I spotted it, the unmistakable orange flash of a share-sized pack of Reese's Cups. My breath hitched. I stepped directly in front of her, my body a silent barrier, and stared her back onto the porch. "What's in the cake?" My voice, calm and unnaturally low, surprised even me. She blinked. Vanilla." I reached for the cake, lifted the lid, and inhaled. The scent hit me like a physical blow. Peanut butter. "You can leave all of this in the car and come in empty-handed," I stated, my voice steady, "or you can go home." She attempted to push past me. I braced the door with my shoulder, unyielding. My refusal to fold, I think, genuinely shocked her. She retreated to her car, returning moments later, empty-handed, her lips pressed into a thin, furious line. Fine. We would salvage the day. I didn't tell Zach. I refused to let Nyla's birthday devolve into another Linda show. For a while, it was perfect. Kids in paper crowns, music blaring joyfully, pink wrapping paper strewn everywhere. Then Nyla coughed. Just once. Then again. Within 30 seconds, she was crimson, clawing desperately at her throat. A cold dread seized me. I grabbed the EpiPen. I dialed 911. The room dissolved into a cacophony of panicked voices. "What did you do?" Linda's shriek, a piercing siren in my ear, faded into mere static. Paramedics moved swiftly. Nyla stabilized. Exposure to peanuts, they confirmed. Someone gave her something. Every mother's eye in the room pivoted to me, searching, silently accusing, for a villain. Hours later, our phone buzzed relentlessly. The parent group chat had exiled us. Texts flooded in, "Not safe. Not coming over. Can't risk it." I wept into Zach's chest until my lungs burned. He, seeing my devastation, blocked his mother on every platform. He vowed she'd never come near us again. I desperately wanted to believe him. The next morning, a sharp knock startled us. Child Protective Services. The woman who entered didn't bother with a greeting. Her arms were sleeved with tattoos, her face shiny and overfilled, her expression broadcasting that my guilt had already been decided. She marched directly to my kitchen, flinging cabinets open with the dramatic flourish of a game show host. "What the actual?" she muttered, stopping abruptly when she spotted the jar perched on the very top shelf. "It's my husband's," I explained, hands raised, my voice trembling. "It's stored up there. I never handle it without washing my hands. Nyla can't reach it." She clicked her pen, unimpressed. "And yet your daughter had an allergic reaction. At her party," I countered, "someone gave her peanuts." "Someone," she repeated, scribbling a note. A sentence in a murder mystery where the detective already knows the killer. She prowled through my house as if auditioning for a reality show, checking expiration dates in the medicine cabinet, opening the washing machine, eyeing a stuffed unicorn on the floor with disdain. "Is this how you normally keep your home?" she asked, her voice dripping with judgment. "My daughter plays here," I retorted, gritting my teeth. She handed me a bent business card. "We'll be in touch about next steps. In the meantime, consider whether this environment is appropriate for a child with special medical needs." I called Zach. He arrived home immediately, his face ashen. We sat shoulder to shoulder on the couch, breathing in the same thick dread. "It was her," I whispered, the realization a bitter taste. "Your mom. She called them. She wants Nyla taken from us." "Over my dead body," he growled, already dialing a lawyer. That night, we hovered over Nyla's bed, watching her small chest rise and fall like a fragile tide. I replayed the party, every face, every interaction. Who had access? Who had the motive? Only one person had brought peanut products to my door and told me, to my face, that I was too fragile. The next morning, a text arrived from a mom from Nyla's class. "I saw your give Nyla something from her purse when you were cutting cake." My hand shook so violently I dropped the phone. I showed Zach. He went stark white. "My own mother," he whispered. "She could have killed our daughter." We meticulously documented everything. Screenshots, texts, timelines, photos of the peanut butter stored at ceiling height, a video demonstrating our rigorous protocols. Wipes by the door, no peanut snacks allowed inside. EpiPen locations clearly marked, school notes, doctor letters. "Keep going," our lawyer urged. "Build the record." I also started a detailed log. Nyla's meals, our activities, everyone we encountered. It felt paranoid. It felt necessary. 3 days after the CPS visit, I dropped Nyla at preschool. Miss Amber, her teacher, barely met my eyes. A mom I usually chatted with suddenly had an urgent call to make. Nyla tugged my sleeve. "Why is everyone being weird?" "Sometimes grown-ups forget how to be friendly," I offered, straightening her tiny backpack. At pickup, Miss Amber handed me a plain white note. "Real moms protect their kids." My skin prickled. We called the school, demanding to know how such a note found its way into my child's cubby. The director promised enhanced security, her words gentle but her smile tight. Then at the park that weekend, I noticed it, a silver Lexus idling across the street. Linda, watching us. When Zach strode purposefully toward the car, it glided away. Later, a voicemail on our landline, Linda's voice dripping with saccharine concern. Since you won't let me see my grandbaby, I have to make sure she's okay. That playground looks dangerous. CPS might be interested in your negligent choices. The cloying sweetness stuck to my skin like syrup. Monday, the school called again. A mommy had phoned, attempting to authorize an early pickup for a surprise trip. The receptionist, thankfully, didn't buy it and called my cell. The security camera, by a chilling coincidence, was down. My knees went weak. Someone had tried to take my daughter. That night, we pulled Nyla from preschool. Zach arranged to work from home 3 days a week. I began homeschooling for now. Losing her friends crushed me. Losing her safety was simply not an option. We sought refuge at a park across town. A woman approached me, uncertain. "Are you Sarah?" she asked. "I got an email about a dangerous mother at this park, with your picture. Said you give your kid peanuts even though she's allergic." The air left my lungs. "That's a lie." I managed my voice raw. "Who sent it? Some mom group?" She mumbled, already backing away. Other parents watched, whispering. I packed up our things and left, my hands trembling. At home, I plunged into local mom groups online and found it. A grainy photo of my kitchen zoomed in from outside our window. The jar, blurred, on the top shelf. The caption, "CPS investigation." The comments, "Poor child. Unsafe mother. Somebody do something. She's isolating us on purpose," I told Zach, the truth dawning with sickening clarity. "She's poisoning every well." Invitations dried up. One mom called to uninvite Nyla from a party. "We heard things," she confessed. "We can't risk it." Nyla cried, utterly bewildered. I held her as she drifted to sleep, then stared at the ceiling, awake and vibrating with white-hot anger. I looked up the CPS worker's name, found her professional profile, then her social connections. There was an indirect link to Linda, a recent connection within the same network. I built a fake profile. I watched their public interactions. I took screenshots of a CPS worker bragging about a referral from her network. I lacked direct proof of collusion, but I had smoke. I was beginning to see the fire. One night, eggs exploded against our front door, yolk and albumin sliding down the glass like someone had thrown our piece against the house, and it didn't stick. Mr. Peterson, our elderly neighbor across the street, watering his lawn at an ungodly hour, called out, "Silver car, older lady." 2 in the morning. We both knew exactly who. Zach drove to confront Linda. When he returned, his jaw clenched. He reported, "She cried. Said we're alienating her. She's filing for grandparent visitation." "Can she do that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "She could try," he said. "Our lawyer says it's rarely granted without an established relationship or a deceased parent." That's not us. Then the official letter arrived. She'd filed. Her petition cited the peanut incident as evidence of my unfitness, referenced the CPS visit, and claimed we'd pulled Nyla from school to isolate her. I stared at the words until they blurred into meaninglessness. She was rewriting reality. We meticulously built our case. Our pediatrician provided a letter on official letterhead, confirming Nyla's severe allergy and our unwavering diligence. Zach's employer verified his work-from-home arrangement, explicitly for safety reasons. We printed the screenshots of the CPS connection. We organized the text from a mom who'd witnessed Linda passing something from her purse. The night before court, cleaning up crayons, I found a drawing. A tall figure, labeled Big Mommy, holding a bottle marked magic drink. A smaller stick figure, me, with tears streaming down. "What's this?" I asked Nyla, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm. "Big Mommy said her magic drink will make me not allergic anymore," she explained, as if it were the most ordinary thing. "She said it smells yucky and makes my tummy hurt." "When did she say that, baby?" "At school lunch," she said so innocently, like it was our secret. I called Zach. He rushed home. We sat with Nyla, gently coaxing more details. Linda had been slipping into school during lunch, telling the office she was on the approved list, whispering to my child that Mommy kept her sick, that Grandma could cure her. "Did you ever drink it?" Zach asked, his voice carefully controlled. Nyla shook her head. "It smelled like the bad butter, the one that makes my skin get all the hives." My stomach turned to ice. We informed our lawyer. He advised us to record any future contact. In our state, one-party consent was legal. We added magic drink to the pile of evidence, like placing one more hot coal on an already burning fire. Court day. Linda arrived in a conservative navy dress, a tissue tucked neatly in her sleeve, the very picture of a concerned grandmother. She carried photo albums of Zach as a boy, flipping them open for the judge as if they proved anything about her fitness. She dabbed her eyes, declared her deep love for her granddaughter, and then, with practiced ease, accused me of using Nyla's allergy to manipulate everyone. So many mothers invent allergies for attention, she said, her voice trembling just enough for effect. I only brought peanut butter to test if it was real. Our lawyers systematically presented our evidence. The pediatrician's letter, the texts, the photos of the peanut butter jar stored at ceiling height, the CPS connections, Nyla's drawing with the magic drink. The judge's face grew still, his expression unreadable. He didn't issue a final ruling that day. Instead, he ordered supervised visits, once a week, with a court-appointed monitor. My stomach dropped. I had yearned for a clean break. But at least, I reasoned, someone would be watching her. The first supervised visit. Linda was saccharine sweet, presenting appropriate gifts wrapped in pastel paper. She played patient games, said all the right things. But in the tiny, fleeting moments, she couldn't resist. Her subtle digs. Grandma knows best, doesn't she, Nyla? She cooed. Mommy's rules are a little strict, aren't they? The supervisor, Carla, seemed charmed. I don't see any reason for concern, she declared after the second visit. After the fourth, she submitted a report suggesting relaxed supervision. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. I needed proof, not drawings, not my word. Undeniable proof of Linda's true nature. When the supervisor left after the next visit, a plan solidified. The following weekend, when Linda dropped Nyla off, my phone was recording in my pocket. I waited until Nyla toddled inside with Zach. Then casually I spoke. Nyla mentioned a magic drink. Linda's smile froze. Oh, that's just a game, she said lightly, too lightly. Kids and their imaginations. She says you told her it would cure her allergy. Linda's eyes sharpened, a predatory gleam. Maybe if you weren't so neurotic, she wouldn't even have allergies. Kids develop these things because their mothers are overprotective. Allergies don't work like that. I stated, my voice level, even as my hands shook violently in my pockets. Exposure could kill her. Linda rolled her eyes. Please, one day you'll thank me. If you'd let me spend time with her without your interference, I could help her overcome this so-called allergy. There it was. Clean. On tape. We immediately filed for an emergency hearing to suspend visitation. In the courtroom, our lawyer played the recording. The judge fixed his gaze on Linda. Are you telling this court you believe you can cure a medically documented severe allergy by exposing your granddaughter to the allergen? She attempted to backpedal. I was misunderstood. The judge didn't blink. He suspended all visitation on the spot and ordered a psychological evaluation. As we exited the courtroom, Linda followed, screaming that I had stolen her son and poisoned her granddaughter against her. A mom from Nyla's old preschool stood nearby, watching Linda unravel in real time. The next day, that mom texted me an apology for believing the rumors. The tide was turning slowly. Then, all at once, parents who had distanced themselves began to reach out. A few admitted they'd received multiple anonymous emails about me, always from the same address with small variations. We traced them back to Linda, adding that to her growing file. For a week, silence. Then it worsened. Screenshots pinged my phone from a private mom group. Posts from a user named Sarah's Concerned Friend, claiming I had Munchausen by proxy and was poisoning Nyla for attention. The fake account took the bait when I messaged from a burner phone. I have information about the Thompsons, I wrote. I'm actually Nyla's grandmother, the account replied. I'm trying to protect her from her unstable mother. We filed for a restraining order based on harassment, stalking, and explicit threats to a child's safety. The judge granted a temporary order, scheduling a hearing in 2 weeks. At the grocery store, a mom from our old preschool stopped me in the cereal aisle. I'm so sorry, she began. Linda came to our book club. When someone mentioned seeing her screaming outside court, she had snapped. She said she'd save Nyla one way or another. The woman shivered. It was scary. We brought that statement to court, too. Restraining order day. I wore what little sturdiness I had left like armor. Our lawyer walked the judge through the relentless timeline. The peanut incident and paramedics, the CPS visit, the school pickup attempt, the stalking at parks, the insidious smear campaigns, the magic drink drawing, the recording, the receipts. Literally, because our lawyer produced a credit card chart for peanut butter, dated the day before one of her supervised visits. Linda's lawyer attempted to paint me as unstable, dredging up old postpartum anxiety from years ago. The judge remained unimpressed. When Linda took the stand, declaring, "I was metaphorical, and kids need tolerance," the courtroom went silent enough to hear the fluorescent lights hum. She slipped, uttering the words, "special snowflake conditions." Even her own attorney looked as if he wished to crawl into his briefcase. The judge wasted no breath. He granted a permanent restraining order. No contact with me, Zach, or Nyla by any means. Stay 500 feet away from our home, school, and anywhere we were present. A psychological evaluation before any reconsideration. He spoke slowly, clearly. This court takes threats to children very seriously, especially when those threats come from family members who should be protecting them. Linda erupted, then ceased abruptly when the judge warned her about contempt. Zach and I walked out holding hands, like we were keeping each other from floating away. We picked up Nyla from my friend Annis. She ran to us, clutching a new drawing. Just the three of us, huge smiles, our house behind us. That night, we sat on the porch with cheap wine and blessed quiet. "I never thought it would come to this," Zach said softly. "My own mother." "I tried," I said. "I really did." "I know," he responded, pulling me closer. "This is on her." We decided to move. Not far, just far enough. A new house in a nearby town. A new preschool with robust security and a nurse who understood EpiPens intimately. We told almost no one our new address. On moving day, I instantly fell in love with the kitchen. Bright counters, clean lines, ample space to prepare safe meals without feeling like I was navigating a battlefield. Nyla delighted in her pink bedroom. Zach looked lighter, a burden lifted. The doorbell rang, and my heart leaped in my throat, then melted when the camera showed a couple with a little boy holding a welcome basket. "We heard there's a peanut allergy," their note read. "So everything is nut-free." I almost wept at how ordinary, how profoundly kind that gesture felt. Months passed. Peace mostly. Nyla thrived. She learned to write her name in loopy letters. She came home with glitter glued to everything she owned. She made a best friend named Bobby, who loved to build forts and roar like a dinosaur. Our new neighbors, David and Rose, became our "we'll water your plants" people. We were finally okay. At a local mom's meetup, a woman asked if I knew a Linda Zachariah from our old town. My body went cold. "Why?" I asked carefully. "She was banned from seeing my sister's kids years ago," the woman explained. "Same stuff. Undermining, ignoring allergies, trying to turn the kids against their mom." She shook her head, her gaze sympathetic. "You're not the first." It was awful, yet incredibly validating. None of this had ever been about me being too fragile. It was the ingrained pattern of a woman who needed to be right more than she needed to be kind, who craved control more than she needed to love. 6 months after we moved, we threw Nyla's 5th birthday party at home. Pink balloons adorned every corner. A cake I had baked myself, clearly labeled safe. Friends ran through sprinklers, drawing chalk suns on the driveway. No emergency. No ambulance. No Linda. That night, with Nyla asleep under a new stuffed unicorn, Zach and I clinked glasses under a clear sky. "We did it," I whispered. "We protected our family. We always will," he promised, tucking me securely under his arm. In a quiet aftermath of the storm, the lesson surprised me. Love isn't about enduring someone as they endanger your child and calling it care. Family isn't an obligation to let harmful people remain close because of shared last name. Strength isn't caving to maintain peace. Sometimes it's a hard no. Sometimes it's a deadbolt door. Sometimes it's a courtroom and a line you refuse to let anyone cross. Even someone who wore sequins at your wedding and called herself grandma. There's one moment I still carry. The night after the judge suspended visitation. I tucked Nyla in, and she looked up at me, so serious, so small. Mommy, is Big Mommy mad at me because I'm broken? I swallowed a sob, kissing her forehead. You are not broken, I told her, my voice thick with emotion. You are perfect exactly as you are. Daddy and I will always keep you safe. That's our most important job. I'm in it then. I still do. So, here's what I know now. I owe no one access to my child. Not a grandmother. Not a government worker who forgets her own rules. Not a group of moms on Facebook with opinions and time. I owe my daughter safety. I owe her a childhood where her allergy makes her cautious, not afraid. I owe her a home where her mother's no means no, and her father's arms are always a place to land. I owe her a family defined by love and boundaries, not blood and manipulation. That's what we built. That's what we keep. And that's why the door will remain closed to anyone who confuses control with care. Even if they wore white to my wedding. Even if they call themselves Big Mommy. Even if they share a last name. We're done choosing politeness over protection. We chose our daughter. We will keep choosing her always.